DJ can do. Hold on, bring it down, bring it down, bring it down. Okay, keep it up, keep it up. Divine, DJ Divine, come over here. Can do, take the headphones off. Divine's gonna get on now. Yes. We're gonna play one song, we're gonna play one song. We're gonna play one. He got some crates over there, some vinyl. You familiar with that right there. Stop playing with us, Divine. Come on, Kendu, come on over here, Kendu. Kendu's gonna talk. Come on, Kendu, come on over here. Come sit down, because we need you to get this right here. We need you to make sure. Don't get generic. You know, Queens cats. I started in the 80s. Come on. Talk to that mic. We want to hear everything. We got cameras running in here.
75 when I'm really.
All right, let's be specific. Oh, yeah. Oh. Mine's going to join us. Okay. All right. So we are celebrating Black Music Month. It's important that we know the history of our culture, and the only way to do that is by us telling it and learning from the pioneers. And these are pioneers that are in the building right now with us. So give them a round of applause. We'll start again. And Kendu, you know, so tell me when you started and how you became part of Infinity Machine.
Well, I've been listening to music since '75. I've been collecting music since then. 1975, I've been collecting music. And Divine, my friend introduced me to him. You know, Infinity Machine was big then. It's still big. We're still doing it. DJ Divine, DJ Casino. We are still doing it. We're gonna keep doing it. I started really in the 80s, you know. Divine put me on. And then that was basically it. That's history right there.
So, Divine, when did you start and what made you put him on?
Okay, well, when I moved out in Queens in 1969, I got interested in music in '72. So by '73, '74, we formed a group called Cypher Sound. I was with Cypher Sound, and then later on, ran into Michael Goody, which was in the later part of the '70s, like '77, '78. Right about the time when hip hop was really starting to blow up.
78, you said?
No, 78 was when it was really taking.
It was getting real. It was
getting real.
Records would get ready to be made. Yeah.
Back in the mid part of the 70s, like with the Disco Twins, King Charles, New Sounds, we prided ourselves on sound systems. Because if you had a good sound, then everybody in the park could hear it.
So when you say a good sound, for folks that weren't there, like, you know, sometimes you might see pictures of it, or still these guys still do it if you've been to those jams. There would be speakers piled up in the street or in the center, and whoever had the best or the most speakers sometimes won, or sometimes the best quality speakers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so we had Certain Vegas. The Twins also had Certain Vegas also in the beginning, and but they did something with their Vegas. They modified them. They changed the speakers in them, and they wasn't sounding like B36s. They were sounding much louder than B36s.
So you could go in the speaker and do something to it to make it sound more powerful?
Put a better speaker in it.
Okay.
And that's what they did. Because the 36s, the B36s was well built. And you know, and they threw and they went deep. And that's what the Disco Twins are known for. Their deepness of their bass, their richness. And so by like 78, I joined Infinity Machine. And I heard about this brother named Ken Du that was able to mix records like I never heard before. Everybody else caught up to this guy. This guy was amazingly fast. When I tell you fast and accurate, I have never saw somebody at that time as fast as he was.
So wait a minute. So this is happening in Queens with Grandmaster Flash is in the Bronx. Have you ever seen Flash play before? You just heard the tapes?
I heard Flash play when I went to the Hotel Diplomat because I heard about what he was doing. These guys was doing something that I wasn't doing. They was like making records go Rocky Park, and stuff like that. Fast and accurate. with turntables. And the only reason why a lot of people probably caught up with them because of technology. Technology with the Serato, the needles don't jump.
Right.
But
Okay, so let's go back to Can Do real quick. So Can Do, you saw what others were doing before you, and you said, I want to go faster, which is what hip hop is really. It's always been abbreviated. We, you know, for those who were playing, like you said, Rock Creek Park, we played the whole record
right.
in disco times. But the DJs that came in with hip hop played it a little different. What was the difference between a DJ, a hip hop DJ, and a disco DJ?
Well, the hip hop DJ, all they want to do is battle. So
They want to, they just want to battle.
they just want to battle.
Okay, so that's how it starts. Okay.
Hip hop, they want to battle. They want to mix who could mix the fastest. And I was one of those guys that that was up there. So I just kept doing it. I'm gonna keep doing it, and I'm gonna keep Infinity Machine name live.
Okay.
We're gonna keep our name live. DJ King Lou, DJ Divine, DJ Casino. We're gonna keep Infinity Machine live.
So I'm going to jump to something that you always, whenever I say, or if I'm on TV or I'm saying something, people around me, the Bronx started, and you always go, I don't know about that.
Nah, I don't know about that. It started, my mother told me to change the record. Well, this is how I really started loving records. My mother used to always
The
have
hip hop music.
That's right, hip hop music. She was always happy changing the record when they have their new parties. That's what made me like records. Then I started listening to hip hop, changing the beats, putting them beats on there, and I just started loving the hip hop culture.
So we are still in it, the middle of the Hip Hop 50 celebration, which says 1973. Kool Herc had a party in the Bronx. And many have questioned it if that did happen in the Bronx, but whatever. We said this is going to be it. Okay. You just said 1978 is when it's really starting to happen. And then we had a bunch of folks a couple of years ago, and we kind of agreed that 1978 is really where hip hop is starting to happen. There's DJs prior to that. There's MCs, there's breakdancers and graffiti people and that. But the hip hop as a culture is really starting to develop the word in 1978, because they weren't called hip hop in 1973. And so you are playing disco, you playing breaks too. I think, I've heard you play breaks back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day, what we did was we played break records. We played the instrumental parts of the records because that's what made people dance more. So we would look for records that had beats in it, and nobody called it hip hop. We just played while people MC'd or said something over the mic, and it really developed like in the later part of the 70s. That's when the world started to embrace it. But before 77, like 74, 75, 76, the foundation was being laid. And people was being inspired to become MCs and DJs because it was all about the DJ, and then the MC took over later on, which produced records.
So when did the MC come into play, and how did that happen from your experience?
Well, when I go all the way back, I look at JD from New Sounds. I heard how he would talk to the crowd. He would say, music is serious as a heart attack, and twice a daily back to back. Come on, everybody, shake your shakamiliac, and all that stuff. So he actually was talking, and people was really being inspired to dance more. So it didn't start off with broken glass everywhere, people pissing on the floor. They just don't care. For me, it didn't start off like that.
It was more a party?
It was more of a party, a call and response type of thing.
Like Hollywood, DJ Hollywood, people like that?
Like DJ Hollywood. DJ Hollywood would make people respond to what he was saying, and then throw a record on. And just like the Twins, when they played, they had Corey D. Corey D would say something, they would turn the music down, boom. So it was being developed. And as you know, it's not the same today as it was before. That goes to show you that hip hop evolved year by year by year. And depending on who had the mic, really spoke the narrative of what it was going to become.
So in you can do represent, can I say South Jamaica Queens? Can I say that?
Yes, you could say that because Kendu was a different DJ from me. Kendu was more of a scratch, cut, get the record in and out, go through 50 records in about a minute, right, Nard? Where I would play a song, I would play Love is the Message maybe for about 10, 15, 20 minutes because people were dancing. But Kendu would go through so many songs and you wouldn't know what he played. But, he was accurate and the cuts that he was doing was just amazing. I just didn't understand how he was just keeping it on beat like that.
And keeping the party going.
And keeping the party going. Because see, I want to say in the later part of the 70s, the DJ became like a performance. Before we was entertaining the crowd and they danced, they didn't stand and watch us. But in the later part, the DJ wanted to be the performer too. So I guess they developed a different style.
So at the time, what was playing on the radio? Were y'all influenced by the music that was on the radio? Or where did you get the idea to play certain music? Like you mentioned Love is the Message. Clearly I think we heard that on the radio. Or maybe we heard some other DJs playing that before, because there were DJs that came before you.
Well, I worked at a record store called Record Exposure in the around 75, 76. And when people bought records, I knew that these records was pretty good, so I played those. So I was inspired by people that came in and bought records and records that I did hear on the radio. But it was always a certain part of that party where people wanted to hear beats. And, and so you had to be able to play beats, you had to play familiar songs, and then you had to play songs that nobody never heard of. That's what made us DJs.
Can do.
The fact of the matter, I'm gonna keep mixing and I'm gonna keep doing it. I'm gonna play music that people love. I see that when I do play, people do love the music that I play, so I got an ear for it, because I've been listening to music since 70. And I've been keeping every record. I keep my records. That's why I got records now. And I'm going to keep them records, and I'm going to keep playing records, and I'm going to keep hip-hop alive. And I thank Ralph McDaniels.
And thank you. Bring one of them crates over here, because back in the days, yeah, okay, you can do it. Back in the days, how many crates did you take out when you were DJ? And what milk store did you steal those crates from? Well, that clearly wasn't for records.
Well, they used to, the milk farm that used to be on South Road, they used to have a whole bunch of them. We used to go over there.
In the back?
In the back. We used to get those.
You thought they was throwing them away or something?
Yeah, they was outside, so, unattended plastic crates. So, when we used to DJ, I guess it would always depend on the crowd we would play for, but it was definitely about maybe at least 7 to 8 crates of music, because you had a crate with breaks in it, you had a crate where people do the hustle, you had a crate where people do the Mary Hartman, the freak dance.
Like this TV show?
Yeah. The dances they had back then, you had to make sure that you had every particular type of genre of music.
That's a good part. We really don't talk about how the dances got started, and there's so many dances that came along, especially with not just with hip hop, with all genres. And so, did you watch these things develop on the dance floor, these dances, these new, like the Mary Hartman? What was the Mary Hartman? I don't even know what that was.
Don't ask me to do it. I think Casino might know how to do the Mary Hartman.
Casino knows how to do the Mary Hartman.
Yeah, the Benny Hill, right?
The Benny Hill, right.
Yeah.
The Spank.
Pee Wee Herman.
Anything that was kind of popular.
Yeah.
And so All right, so let's get back to the MC. So who were some of the early MCs? Because clearly we have so many MCs in Queens that are legendary status. Run DMC, LL, Tribe Called Quest, 50 Cent, Nas, all Nicki Minaj, one of the biggest selling artists ever, not just females ever. And who were some of the early guys and women that we might not know about?
DJ Woody Wood.
He was a DJ.
DJ Woody Wood was an MC. He was we call him DJ Woody Wood, but he actually was an MC.
Yeah.
Okay.
His brother, Disco Kid, and I'm just calling the names that was in South Jamaica. There was other MCs from other parts, but I'm from South Jamaica, and my whole focus is on Southside Queens because I know that, and I believe in my heart that this is the mecca of hip hop.
Oh, so tell us why.
Because if you look back in the 70s and you look back at some of the biggest parties, they was held at the Jamaica Armory. And then when you look at the famous battles, the Disco Twins and Infinity Machine, it was held at ISA, right? Then when you look at the Fantasia, where you had Grandmaster Flowers, you had Grandmaster Flash, you had anybody who was anybody had to come through the Fantasia and prove who they were. The Fantasia was the proving ground of who you were, And then you had Les Chalet, and then you had the Encore. Come on.
Encore is a
Right
children's
here.
library right now. Yeah.
So that's why I truly believe that, and not to take anything away from anybody else in Queens, but prospectively, I don't think any part of Queens can match up to South Jamaica and the artists that came through at the early part of hip hop and the part where everybody was embracing it. I mean, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, Orange Juice Jones, Russell Simmons, LL Cool J. I mean, all this was happening right here in South Jamaica, Queens. And that's why I believe that this is the mecca of hip hop for Queens.
So did you call it, when's the first time you heard the word hip hop? Can you remember? Way back.
When?
They pioneered the song.
So the first time you heard it in the Sugar Hill Gang, Rapper's Delight.
Right. Well, if understanding
What
was
year
here,
did that come out? 79?
78, 79.
Okay.
79.
79.
At one time, Classy, understanding was telling me that I believe that you was at the house with Bobby Ball, him, and Curtis Blow. Y'all was all in Umar's house, and they announced hip hop, and I think that I don't remember what year that was, but yeah.
79.
So yeah, so it's good to say around 78, 79 is when they coined that phrase hip hop.
So, and the reason why I ask is because, we just celebrated 50 years of hip hop. And I went along with it, but I never really, back in the days, I never heard the word, but it is what it became. The idea of what hip hop is, I give to Cool Herc.
I think I'll take it further. I think it was Eddie Cheever too.
Eddie Cheever
I
said
heard Eddie
And
Cheever.
Eddie Cheever, rest in peace, he just passed away.
Yeah.
And that's another reason why we do these things is because people are dying, and we want to know this information. And if we don't get it from the people that were there, hopefully they're accurate. We're not going to know. So, thank goodness there are still people here to talk about it, and that's why I bring these questions up, because people will go, oh, why is Ralph talking about this? We know the Bronx started. I wasn't in the Bronx. I was in Brooklyn and Queens. I don't know what actually happened. I know y'all told me that, and I know you, and I hope that you're telling me the truth. But I don't know. We're historians. We got I am. I gotta know for sure. So that's what I want to know. Question.
Yeah, I started living in Queens. Me, Russell, Omar, we used to go to the Bronx. You know,
First time, well, not the first time I went to the Bronx. The second time I went to the Bronx was with Russell Simmons.
that was in 77, 78. We used to go to T Connection, the Auto Ballroom, you know,
Okay, so what kind of music was they playing in T Connection?
No, well, mainly the ones that had that there was Flash, DJ, AJ, Busy B, Starsky, Love Bug, Starsky, you know. We were the first one to bring them to Queens.
I feel like we're on the same timeline. You know, we just kind of discussed this.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to really pinpoint a month, date, and time, especially when you're making history. We were making history back there, not documenting history.
You were in the moment. You were doing it.
So you know, we could basically give you an idea of what was going on, you know, and it's just something about Queens cats. We keep it 100. We keep it real because I'm gonna tell you, all this stuff evolved into what it was. Nobody said like, it's the guy that made Apple, Steve Jobs. He said, I'm gonna make a computer, he put an Apple on it and so forth and so on, and continue doing making it, and that was his. No one man made hip hop. Everybody needs to understand that. Because back in the early part of the 70s, it was so segregated. You didn't go to different boroughs because of the gangs and because of the racial tension that was prevalent in the 70s. So when somebody says that I'm the first one to do that, how do you know what they were doing in Queens?
Or in another part of the Bronx. Or what was happening in Astoria, what was happening in Queensbridge.
Right.
You know, we don't know. I mean, some people know, but he wasn't going. It's just like you travel, and it's not social media where you can see it every day.
Right.
So I always go, I used to ask this question, people I've got the answer. Who was the first to play Apache? You know, because when I first heard Apache, I was like, yeah, that's a different type of song. You know, who heard? That's what people say. And I go, and I've heard Herc say it. He was the first. He only had a couple of records that he was known for, and Apache was one of them. And so that's why I give Kool Herc the props that he gets, you know, because that become a national anthem in a sense for hip hop. The record Apache has been sampled by so many people, and there's a documentary about the song Apache, out there. If you go out and look it up, it's a great documentary. The song was sitting in a record store for years. It never sold, and then Herc picked it up, or somebody picked it up and started playing it. And all of a sudden the record started selling. And the guy who made the records was like, who's buying these records? It was young black kids and Latino kids in the Bronx or in New York. And so that's how it became a big thing, because you almost couldn't find that record back in the days. You had to wait for somebody to put a bootleg out of it. But it was a big tune, and when you heard it, you knew it was something big. And it was a hip hop record. Like, it was clearly a hip hop record. It wasn't like a disco record. It was a different type of record.
It was a b-boy record. I believe it was b-boy where they used to do the breakdancing and all that stuff, which I think came before hip hop, because people used to breakdance. You know.
So breakdance comes before hip hop.
I believe that it really did, because people was popping and doing this stuff before the music got slower. And when MCs started rapping, you know, like when Grandmaster Flash did The Message, and so forth and so on.
And who were some of did you know breakdancers? Did you know them?
It was a crew that used to come to the record store where I used to sell records, and it was a guy named Rudy, and they were Spanish. A lot of the breakdancers were Spanish, you know, and it was 3 guys, and they was called the Rocksteady Crew, and I'm quite sure that they had a Rocksteady Crew in the Bronx also. But
they called themselves the Rocksteady Crew.
And they called themselves the Rocksteady Crew. I don't know where they got the name from, and I had a picture of him, but
Crazy Legs gonna get
you
me
know,
this one.
yeah. But I mean, I think breakdancing became popular first, and then kind of like hip hop came a little bit after.
Yeah.
Or maybe I was a little late on realizing hip hop was big, but because I was still working before I started working in the post office in the early '80s, right? I was at the record stores in the '70s, and I was introduced to these guys doing the pop and all that stuff, and the Soul Train thing and all that stuff, breakdancing, all that. You know, I mean, it depends on how you define what breakdancing is.
Right, there's different times.
It's different levels, you know, and just like how you define what rap is. Because if you look at the Founding Fathers documentary, you'll see that people in 1940 were saying
Let's get ready to go there.
rhymes off of records. So for people to say I'm the first one, and this is what I just like, okay, you were the first one. But it's nothing new under the sun. That's what I heard. You know, the 40s, they was like the Pygmy Markets, the Isaac Hayes. If you listen to Isaac Hayes, he even has a rhyme, I'm bona fide and solidified, qualified to do. And Hollywood mimicked what he did.
Right.
So my thing is, this thing been around.
Ali was rapping.
Yeah. Ali was around.
Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last poet.
Ali was rapping.
You know,
I always was a fan of Gil Scott-Heron. I feel like he
Right.
was like somebody we could relate to, you know,
Right.
like
they talked about economical Marvin Gaye and
yeah.
the 60s, the music in the 60s, if you really listen to it. I think what really made hip hop was we took music from jazz, rock, disco, R&B, funk, and we just used little parts of it, and it became something that we dance to because everybody wants to dance to a funky beat.
Right.
So if you play a funky beat and then you got somebody talking over it, that's hip hop.
In the background is your record.
Yeah.
And so what made you make, and tell us about that record.
Spider D. I don't know, y'all know about Spider D Smurfy's Dance? All right? Okay, Spider D. He was with Russell Simmons, and when I was working at the record store, again, he used to come up there, and I had 2 turntables. I wasn't even working, I was having fun. But he said, Yo, Divine, man, I know some people on West End, and they want to do a scratch mix record. So I said, okay. So we went to the studio, which is Power Play, before Power Play became one of the most magnificent studios. We went there, and the beauty of it, that West End gave me all the records to scratch, so it wasn't no copyright infringements. So we laid down a beat. We had this guy, Alan Peake, play this Lindrum, what you hear, right? And then he said, Yo, Divine, I want you to scratch on it and just say something. So I took Hot Shot, and I said, hot, 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 hot. Then do it to the music. And then I also use do it to the music where it says, get down. Get down. So all this was like, as the whole track played out, I was actually scratching randomly, you know, because it wasn't no samples, it wasn't no this or that and the third, and everybody was on the board just punching things out and putting things in the right perspective. And then they said, I want you to say something. So I'm a DJ, okay. Get into the mix. Get into the mix. Something real simple. And the crazy thing about it is I was at the record store selling my record and autographs, which was, I was like, when the record took off, Ralph, I was kind of like,
He was hot.
Yo, it was one of the hottest records. It was on hot rotation. Chuck Leonard was playing it, and it kind of like scared me a little bit. Fame will scare you. You'll get to a point where, wow, and it was like, but I just had to remain calm, you know. And I was like, well, what am I gonna do?
How old were you when you put this out?
Probably about 27, I think, maybe 20, 27, 28, something like that. And the crazy thing is, right when the song was taking off, I got a call from London to go to London and go on tour to do this song, get to the mix. This is when Play That Beat, WizKid was out and all that stuff, that scratching stuff, the Herbie Hancock stuff and all that stuff. And I got a job, they called me from the post office.
Oh, wow.
So my mom said, you could always DJ. And I was like, well, Mom, I'm getting ready
Go to another
to
country.
go to another country. He said, take your job. So me being obedient to my mom's, because I honor my parents. And here it is, 50 some odd years later, and she was right. I'm still able to DJ with a pension, and I'm good.
And you could probably still go overseas and they probably know it because the UK loves our music. And you could still go over there and still perform over there now, I bet you.
Yeah. I be getting calls from West Virginia, they want me to come down, and I'm like, Chuck Chill Out was telling me, yo, Divine, yo, man, I want to Funk Master Flex want to meet you, man. I said, really? You know, I never knew the impact of what this song had on a lot of different people.
Well, West End Records was a disco label. So all those records that you're sampling are disco records. And they knew that hip hop was the next big thing. And so you were helping them, like in a big way, West End Records, more than you know. Because you were like their transition into something that was about to be real popular.
Right.
Because Profile had Run DMC and all these other groups. West End wanted to do what Profile was doing. And so you brought the stock up in that company. You brought the stock up.
Right.
Yeah. Any questions? Anything? I'm gonna bring Casino up here. Casino, come up here because you're part of this whole thing. And we are in, yes. I'll bring that down a little bit, Hindu.
Okay, in terms of, you said when you all were doing the thing and creating, but no one was documenting, what is it?
About what you did.
Yeah, I mean, on paper, on film, what are we doing with that? What are you doing in terms of?
Yes, a lot of that is in the making. A lot of people are trying to document.
We here documenting it right now, Devon, and I don't want to own nothing, but I feel like it has to be in a place where it's going to be here forever. This library's been here since we was kids.
Yeah.
You can create something and have it stay here, so this way, when digital, something happens to the cloud or whatever it is, it'll still be in an institution that's going to be here forever, long after we gone.
Sure.
So I open that up to if you want to do it here and you want to bring people in, and we can try to figure out how to raise some money to do it, because it costs to do this type of things, we can do it here, but that's my 2 cents. And I've been talking that same talk when I first came here 5 years ago.
When I said, well, while we was making history, nobody was really documenting because nobody knew the value and the worth that it was going to be later on. We just believed that what we was doing was real. Right, Twin?
Yeah.
What we was doing was making an impact.
I said, which twin? I'm a twin.
Oh, isn't that something? Yeah, disco twin. So yeah, so what we was doing, I mean, the crowd really showed us that it was good. So we didn't pay no mind when the people that was older than us were saying, oh, hip hop was not gonna last, it's a fad. They were saying that. Look at it now. You know, it is.
That was the challenge. Their words were your challenge. So I'm still on.
Right.
Yeah, here it is.
You know?
And the money was good during that time, right?
The money was not good at that time. It was, let me tell you, it wasn't that much money.
I mean nightly. I mean on a nightly basis.
Nah,
Okay.
we're talking only hundreds of dollars.
Right.
Hundreds of dollars. And
Wasn't Hollywood getting paid a good amount of money?
people was getting paid hundreds of dollars. Right, Twin? Hundreds of dollars. So if somebody was telling you that they was getting paid thousands of dollars back then, they was lying. We was doing parties and the parties was $2.99 to get in.
Oh, wow.
$3, $4. You know, so how did somebody get paid $1,000 just to show with a mic? No, it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that. And we, you know, Queens had, I think we had the biggest venue for hip hops.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, people talk about all the other places where hip hop was, and when I asked people from the Bronx, Brooklyn, and like Staten Island, Manhattan, these places was, and no disrespect, these were small, hole-in-the-wall places. Fantasia was just a big place also. Every time we gave a party, it was more than 400 or 500 people there. I believe. And then the Jamaica Armory, forget about it. I put on YouTube, I put together some pictures and everything. It was like back to back. It was a sea full of people. It was just crazy. It was like, we packed the Jamaica Armory. Hip hop. 79. You know, so when people say that they were the first to do this and they were the first to do that, you know, it's kind of hard to say that because you can't say that not unless you know everything and what was going on everywhere. And nobody knew that.
Question.
I just want much respect to the legends here, to the older hip hoppers, a lot of respect. Because today I realized I was watching Crazy Legs on IG, and I just realized wow, how lucky we still are to have, you know, a lot of people still around, the founders, the pioneers still around. So thank God that you're still here, and we're here together today.
Yeah.
During the pandemic, there was an acknowledgement that a lot of the pioneers were struggling financially, and they were like forgotten. They were not getting their royalties, and there was a lot of the newer rappers, the newer hip hop that just was a disconnect with the old, with the pioneers. Is there in the move anything that you might be doing or interested or even encouraging us to remember, you know, the pioneers, remember the generations, and what you're going to do to let the new generations, you know, still know your talent and know your contribution. Thank you.
Well, I could only address that with my most heartfelt opinion. We need to exercise love. That's first and foremost. I don't want to take it to a belief or a religious belief, but I would just say this, that there's a creator who created all of us.
That's right.
And he created us to be equal.
That's right.
And he planted everything in everybody the same thing. So the answer to your question is that we as a people need to tap into what the Creator put inside of us. Whether it's Allah, whether it's Christ, whether it's Buddha, whether it's Jehovah, whatever. Once we tap into that, once we tap into love your brother like you love yourself,
That's right.
then we could get some things accomplished. Because just because a person is rich in finances and has everything that they need from someone who laid the foundation down for them, then they're never going to depart from what they got. So we're looking and we're seeking help from people that could help those who need help. And the first thing is a renewal of people's minds and realize that if they are part of something that's much more greater than themselves. And you got two types of people in the world. You have givers and you have takers. You know, you choose who you're going to be. Because I know one thing, and I realized this from hip hop, and I realized this from life experience, that I'm blessed to be a blessing. And the more I bless, it will open up the gates where I could be more of a blessing.
Amen.
Because none of us is going to take what we got where we're going to the next level, and we all going to go there, whether we like it or not.
Right.
You know, so once we realize that as people, then look right there, and we're not gonna move. It's gonna be like cars in a parking lot. You know, so, but hopefully somebody will get that revelation, and it will have an effect on someone else, and it will have an effect on someone else, and they will inspire someone, they will influence someone. And then when somebody sees that the goodness and the greatness that can come out of it, then we could all, you know, make it for each other. But a lot of people say, I'm not helping him. He should have did this. He should have got this. Maybe he wasn't in a position to do that. You know. Yes. You have a question,
No.
Ms. Robin Dean?
I have a statement.
A statement.
Like when she said, well, what can I do? Because people put off on everybody else what they want. I like the music from back, the park jams from back in the days. So what I started was, I said, we're gonna have a park jam in ISA, where all the old DJs come and we're gonna recognize them. I have nothing to do with DJ, I don't even know how to turn on a turntable, but we're doing this for 4 years now. I can't even plug it in. But it's in you. If you want to see that, you have to make it happen. Because they're not coming from Hollywood to South Jamaica to see what Divine and them was doing. Or they might do Divine, let me stop. They might get him. But there was a lot of people back then that we all was in the park jamming for free. They was putting their money out. They was connecting wires to poles and being shut down and having their equipment, the wires cut by police and stuff like that. But we all enjoyed it. Now we're sitting here waiting for them to give it back to us. Why don't we give it to them? Why don't we make a place where they can come and they can show what they used to do and what we used to like, and we used to get it for free. It's not, we can't just depend on them because they did it. Like Devon said, he had to go work in the post office. Not that it was a bad job, it was an excellent job. But if he could have DJ'd to make the money he made at the post office, he would have done it. Yeah. But you got all of these new rappers, these mumble rappers, these horrible, they're getting paid to sell their soul, and the people who paved the way for them are being thrown away like they started it this year. And they're acting like they don't even see these guys here. But you, me, and all of us here, we know them. We was there. We was in the park. We was enjoying it. So we have to put it together.
I have a quick question for you. So let's go back to that time and think about South Jamaica Queens and what it meant. Like, what was the inspiration? Who were the families? People, South Jamaica Queens is known for, or Jamaica Queens in general, for most owners of homes, black folks that own homes, which tells a lot. Let's talk about that. What was Jamaica Avenue like back in the days?
Crazy.
How was it?
Vim's.
Vim's? You remember Vim's? Macy's? Mays.
They closed down too. I was like,
Toys R Us.
Toys R Us? Yeah.
A lot of big stores.
Right.
Right. So this was, it was like Manhattan. Right. It was a place where people came from wherever came to shop.
They would bring busloads from Virginia and Maryland to Jamaica Avenue. I would go, y'all coming here to Jamaica Avenue? And I actually retired from New York City Transit.
Yeah.
The J train.
Yeah, I actually retired from New York City Transit. I was
Gay trade
I was a
right there on
supervisor
top.
right across the street. You don't know how many buses will pull up and think they can park, and they're like, we're from Virginia, we're bringing people on Jamaica Avenue to shop, and I thought they had lost their mind. And
Because there wasn't a lot of places like Jamaica.
Right. And my family would say they're coming from Maryland to shop on Jamaica Avenue. And I'd be like, what, why? And they were, so Jamaica was known back then. And you see these big buildings, I would say what Ralph was saying. These big buildings that they're building up, because it's not like Harlem and Brooklyn where they didn't own the property. They took it from them. Like he said, the people here own these houses, so they can't take it. So now they gotta build up. That's why you see these 20-foot buildings out of nowhere. Because the people who ran from South Jamaica when the blacks came in and ran out to Long Island realized how much the gas is to come back and forth to work. So now they wanna run back here. And so they can't take these houses like they did in Brooklyn and Harlem and so they gotta build up. So, like what he said, these are homeowners here.
No.
Yeah, yes. Questions? I know somebody else got a question. So, you know, I think it's important that we understand that it's not by mistake that we have these gentlemen here, DJ Devon and Casino and Kendu, and they had equipment because their parents, that's what they wanted them to have. They came here. These were families that worked. They were two people had jobs, you know, in the household. And somebody mentioned to me earlier about jazz music. We had some of the most amazing jazz musicians in the world live right here in South Jamaica and St. Martin. It's not by mistake that, you know, you have a Run DMC. Yeah. It's not Damon John. You know, these people their parents moved here to make sure that their kids can have a better life. Right. And in Queens in general. I'm pretty sure the same thing was going on in East Elmhurst and in Corona and Astoria and some of these other areas, that this was about doing better. My parents they both worked. You know, so like you better do something when you're gonna be somebody when you leave out this house, young man. You know, I had that pressure on me. I had to do something. You know, like you said, he listened to his mother. I had to do the same thing, because if I wasn't, it was going to be a problem. And so these are the type of households that were in this particular neighborhood, South Jamaica, in Jamaica, Queens. And, you know, what's happening now, you talk about the new buildings that are coming up. That's going to happen. When it happened in Brooklyn, I was living in Brooklyn. That's going to happen, and we have to be mindful that you're not going to stop this. There's too much money that's happening. But the culture should not be gone. We cannot let them take our culture away from us. So we have to stand up and make sure that we are mindful of everything that we do and question things that you might not question. Because now we're not doing it for ourselves. We're doing it for the younger people. We're doing it for the younger people. We just go back to your question about, your question about, you know, what are we doing? You know, it's not about me anymore. You know, I'm in the public library. I've been doing Video Music Box for 40 years and traveled the world, you know, and did all kinds of amazing things I've never thought I would ever do in my life. And so I'm here because I want to be here, and this is to me, this is the fourth quarter for me. So I'm like, look, all right, what are we gonna do? I can't be running out in the street like I used to when I was 20 years old. So we're gonna do this thing. I don't have to do it, but I don't want to be in the house, and I don't want to be in the clubs and doing all that kind of stuff like Ken Lewis doing. I'm bougie now. Like, set it up. Somebody set it up. I ain't doing all of that. I put my time there. I did my job. Put in my work. Put in my work. And that's what this program is all about. And you know, I'm pretty sure y'all know about what libraries are going through right now. I don't think that the city and necessarily even the mayor, who's from South Jamaica, Queens, and I don't think he realizes that these are the type of things that happen in the library, these type of conversations like we having right now, and some of the other programs that happen across the board, because we're 64 libraries. I'm here in Jamaica today, but I might be in Far Rockaway next week, on East Elmhurst or Astoria or Queensbridge Lab, which is a small space in Queensbridge that does a lot of work. You know, the people can go there. The elderly can go there if they want. They don't got to go too far. It's right there in Queensbridge, or wherever these libraries exist. So that's what this is all about today. I'm gonna give away some more stuff. We're gonna play some music. If y'all enjoyed the program, make some noise for these gentlemen right here. Yeah. All right. Did you talk? Oh, wait.
I want to say something real quick.
Yes.
I'm going to keep it quick. I'm DJ Casino. I lived in South Jamaica, Queens all my life, since I was 3 years old. A lot of people don't know that a lot of people don't know the history of South Jamaica, Queens. South Jamaica, Queens was only one zip code, 11436. That's it. They expanded it as more blacks moved in because they didn't want nobody out of the South. So they kept on expanding it. Paisley wasn't part of it. Nothing was. It only went from Varick Expressway, Linden Boulevard, the Conduit, to Suffolk Boulevard. That was only South Jamaica, Queens. And you couldn't cross the Van Wyck. It wasn't allowed to walk across to the other side because you'd be chased back onto this side. This is serious. This is the truth. Your mother and father will tell you, don't cross the Van Wyck. Don't go on the other side of that bridge. Right? We couldn't. I have a picture here of me, Divine, and Kendu at the Fantasia, at the Armory. So we've been, a lot of people don't know through the thick and thin, through the drugs and everything, a lot of people don't know this. The people who were strong in hip hop and playing music never got addicted to anything but their music. All of us is here because we kept together. Regardless if we seen each other every day, if the Twins played in Astoria, we went to Astoria. If Infinity was playing somewhere, we went there. So we known each other forever. We never lost touch. And we kept each other strong. Right. And they say hip hop started in the Bronx. I'm gonna bring this to your attention. And I'm just gonna make it quick, and this is settle the thing about the Bronx. Divine said he started about 1975, right? Somewhere around there, right?
Yeah, I take
Twins, when did you start? About 74?
about 70, 72.
All right.
When I was 20.
Okay.
No, 16.
You was okay. That's what I'm hitting at. He was 16. I was 16. We wasn't driving. We wasn't leaving our neighborhoods. It's almost like when the human being started. Nobody knows because nobody left their area. The Bronx didn't come at that age to Queens, and we didn't go to the Bronx. So how you know what we was doing if we was only 16 or 17? So that tells you right there, nobody could say what we was doing because nobody was coming across the tribal that was just built or any other. It was built around there. If you look at the history, so the Bronx wasn't coming into Queens to see what we were doing because they was too young to. As much as we was too young, at him at 16, we wasn't driving. The first speakers we moved into the park, the DJ, what did we do? We dragged him in because we wasn't driving. We had to, from our house, because we all lived, right, we all lived within a couple of blocks to Ajax Park. We bought them and we put them and we pulled them to the park because none of us had cars. A lot of people don't know that, so it wasn't like, oh, we got van. We didn't have anything. The first Infinity machine set was 2 Vegas, 2 Bowls, 901s, and we pulled it to the park with the wires and everything, go back and forth walking because none of us had cars until we got somebody older to move us around. So it is like evolution. They say where it started. Nobody gave us credit, the black people, because nobody knew what was going on in that because they dared to come over there. As much as we dared to go to the Bronx. Or to go anywhere else, as much as Brooklyn didn't come into Queens. So how you gonna say where it started? You know what you did. You know what you was taught. So the Bronx was taught, it was started there. But ask them where they seen the first big system at. They say Queens. Because there is no history. Tell me the history where they say, oh yes, we had this system in the Bronx.
No.
There is none. Right, Twin? There is none. You never say, oh, this person had this system in the Bronx. And we was rocking. No. Even if it was Too Hurt, he had 2 speakers. You ain't never seen and the reason why, like Ralph said, we had families, we had house. The moving to Queens, you was moving in the house. The families had a little bit of this, and that's what created the big system.
If you look at this, all the popular MCs, DJs, they're from Queens or Brooklyn.
Right.
You can count
This is the truth to the matter. And like I said, throughout all the crack and everything, we still here. None of us got addicted because we kept each other busy. The music went on, and no matter what people on the street was doing, they loved the music. They said, leave the DJ alone. And the music played on. The music never stopped. That's it for me, Ralph. Thank you very much.
Any more questions? All right, let's play some music. We got about 15, 20 minutes.
James Brown's like, I started.
DJ Devon.